Essentially, this is a story about a small boy whose need to believe that his father will come back to him in one way or another is so strong that he embarks on his own journey of magical thinking. One of the hardest things about starting a new book is to find a place that you feel strongly enough about to bring to life for the reader, to bring to life in print. And for me, the Hebrides is that place. We were an English family living in Manhattan, but every summer we would sail from New York Harbour to England and embark on the epic 700-mile drive up to the Scottish Highlands. The islands are a barren, elemental place, buffeted by winds and at the mercy of the Atlantic, and populated by crofters, gulls, and one or two herds of sheep. My mother always used to say there was magic on the island, and certainly it was a place full of myth and legend. There were endless stories of Viking raids and shipwrecks, and the islanders themselves were very superstitious. But because I suppose we were city children, their way of life still felt wonderfully strange to us. And whenever we were on the island, it always felt as if we had sailed to some secret world that nobody else knew about except for us. My strongest memory of those summers was the story of Hercules, the escaped bear. During the late 70s, Andy Robin, a Scottish wrestler, became fascinated by the idea of wrestling bears, and so he adopted a grizzly cub from a zoo, which you could do in those days.
We'll get him in the pool.
He brought this cub home, and he and his wife, Maggie, raised this grizzly as a surrogate son. And before long, Andy and Hercules, wrestler and bear, became very well known. Andy brought Hercules up to the island that summer to film an ad for television. And on the first day that they were there, he took him for a swim in the sea. For Hercules, this was the first time that he'd ever swum in the ocean, and he became overwhelmed with excitement and broke free of his rope. By the time Andy came back with the boat, the bear was gone. Wildlife experts from all over the world were called in, and they agreed that it would only be a matter of time before the grizzly reverted to his natural instincts, before he killed in order to survive. But Andy, who'd brought his bear up on love, believed that Hercules had a half-human heart, and as such was convinced that he would never harm another living creature. And in the end, he was proved spectacularly right. This idea that the bear had a half-human heart has stayed with me ever since. Like the bear, the family in my story have also just arrived on the island, following the mysterious death of their father, a diplomat in Cold-War Germany, and each of the children are struggling to cope with his loss in their own way. I wanted to write about communication. What happens when a family loses the ability to talk to one another? What's the damage? What's the fallout? And everything else in the book, all the other themes, from the backdrop of the Cold War to the isolation of the island, to the Stasi, to traitors, lies and disinformation, all grew out of that one core idea of communication. Jamie, the child in this story, is suffering from some kind of mild version of Asperger's. He can't read, he can't write, he doesn't process information in the same way as other children. Jamie's also suffering from something called literalism, which means he takes everything at face value, and he can't process irony or sarcasm or humour. So when his mother tells him that his father is lost, because she can't bear to use the language of death with him, he believes that his father is coming back to him. And so he starts to create maps, and he puts them in bottles and he throws them out to sea in order to help his father find his way home. And slowly but surely, he comes to believe that his father has returned to him in the form of Hercules. My mother always said there was magic on that island, and you know what? She was right.